Good morning, everybody. If you watched my previous video, this is the beginning of the video in the cabin in some kind of a storm. Overnight the temperature rose. It's now plus 2 degrees and it's 10 a.m., a little after 10 a.m. The current forecast gives a lot of wind and heavy rain, 20 to 30 millimeters of rain, and then this evening going below freezing again and changing to snow. I don't know, they've changed the forecast so many times, I don't know what to believe, but we'll get whatever we get, I guess, and we're here for the duration. I've brought out so much stuff you can hardly move in here. I've been carrying out here for 2 days. I don't know if I thought I was never coming back or what, but we are about to embark on this little adventure, whatever's going to happen, I guess. I'll show you a few things now about what I'm doing prior to the storm starting. One of the first things to do in the new year is to take down last year's calendar, which is still on November. Just that shows you that I didn't get out here in December to change the page anyway. And put this year's calendar up. And that was a pan hitting the floor. I love this calendar. It's got all kinds of nice nature photographs in it. It's a Christmas gift. So hopefully I'll get out here every month this year to change the page. Well, if you remember back to one of my videos, maybe a couple of years ago, I was trying to find a way to get Wi-Fi out here in the cabin. At that time we didn't have cell phone tower here. But over a year ago now a big cell phone tower was built and I bought myself an iPhone. I get better coverage on my iPhone out here at the cabin than I do in the house. But using my iPhone as a hotspot, I can use my iPad, mini iPad, on the internet, which is quite amazing. I suspect that's gobbling up all kinds of data things on my iPhone, so I won't use it a lot. But that is the storm as it is moving in here now. I got it on a loop so you can see what's happening, but if I get something that I could point with. The island is located about right here. Actually, you can see part of it when it goes down. That's the island there. So the leading edge of it is over top of us right now, and we do have quite a bit of wind, but I still don't see any precipitation at all. Well, if you saw the video that I did yesterday that went up a few days ago, you know that I'm planning to have a traditional dried fish dinner here in the cabin in the storm. That is, I think, codfish. It could be pollock. The labeling was said it could be one or the other, but I'm quite sure that's codfish. It was dried and really encrusted in salt. It sat out here overnight in just clear water. A lot of the salt has leached out, and now I've changed the water, and I'll just let it set and soak the rest of the day until I'm ready to cook it dinner time tonight. Trying to be as conservative as possible with the camera because I don't have an extra battery. That's the only battery I have with me, and I can't charge it out here even though I have solar power. This is 2 cups of flour, a teaspoon of the quick rising instant yeast, and a half teaspoon of salt. I'm going to make some rolls, dinner rolls, or biscuit rolls, I guess, not biscuits, they have yeast in them. If successful, that's what this will be. And I'll have them with dinner this evening, and they make lovely toast in the morning. Brought some extra flour with me, so when I need this I can put a little flour on the board. I think that's coming together. That's enough water, I would say. Bring you back in a second or two here. Well, I've been kneading this for about 10 minutes. Seems to have come together nicely. A little olive oil in the same bowl that I made it in, just to coat it a little bit and to partially coat the bowl. And I will cover it with some plastic wrap and let it set at room temperature here for an hour or two. No big rush, I guess, but it should rise quite quickly because the room temperature here now is 21 degrees. It's warmed up to 3 degrees outside, and the wind has picked up even more, but no rain yet. Angel is chilling on the futon. Those are some of her Christmas gifts, her Christmas toys that she's got her head on there. What's remaining of them. She really likes to shake and gut them and to remove any of the squeakers that might have been in them. For a dog who never touches anything, when you give her a toy, she says, "This is mine and I'm going to do what I want to do with it." Well, I'm just about to join Angel. I'm going to do some reading. I just finished reading Rosalind Laker's To Dance with Kings last night, and I threatened to stop reading it a dozen times while I was reading the thing, but I read it through to the end just for the historical part of it. It takes place in the 18th century in France, the Revolution and everything, but it's basically a romance, but I didn't care for it that much. Today I am starting to read Dan Brown's latest book, Origin. I love Dan Brown's books. I haven't really started this one yet. I'm sure I'm going to like it. I've read everything else that he's published. I have a friend who knew Dan Brown when he was a teenager. He went to Exeter in the U.S., a private school, and her husband was a teacher there, and she had a position, something to do with the in-residence students, like a den mother or whatever. But anyway, she knew Dan back then. She has no contact with him now, but she knew him when he was a teenager. So settle down and do some reading, and we'll come back later when it's time to do something with those rolls. Well, it's 10 minutes to noon, 10 to 12. For about the past hour, we've had rain. And now that rain seems to be transitioning into some snow. And unfortunately, the temperature is still +3. So what's going to happen, I don't know. The wind has really picked up. If the picture is a little strange here, it's because I'm shooting out through a screen that I don't seem to know how to remove off of this door. I lifted the glass, but the screen is still there. Well, I have no idea, of course, how many times this might change back and forth from snow to rain. But we certainly did not get the heavy rain that they were forecasting, and snow not supposed to start until after dark. It is still, no, it has dropped. It's 2 degrees outside. It was 3, so the temperature is dropping slowly as well. I don't know if that was the end of the rain, or if it might go back and forth 3 or 4 more times. But with these big flakes, it will build up quickly anyway with the snow. Some parts of southern New Brunswick, I'm in far south as you can get in New Brunswick, in southwestern New Brunswick, but some parts of southern New Brunswick were supposed to get up to 40 centimeters. I don't think that was supposed to happen here on the coast, but time will tell, as I keep saying. Well, it's time for some lunch. I'm just going to have scrambled eggs and a toasted bagel. Boughton bagel. Cheese and herb, I guess, is the flavor of it. I had one yesterday. They're quite nice. The roar of the gas stove here. Just starting to turn brown. That one anyway. That one just turned a little bit, I guess. Stove gets the pan so hot that it sort of ended up more like a plain omelet than scrambled eggs, but it will do for lunch, I guess, and a cup of green tea brewing. Well, I had a good lunch, and then I turned on the radio, and of course they have updated the storm information for this area. They're now saying that the snow that we're getting will last into the evening, and sometime mid-evening it will change to ice pellets and freezing rain, and then back into heavy rain, and sometime before dawn back into snow again. In other words, a little bit of everything, I guess. Also, on the newscast that I listened to, I'm in New Brunswick, in case you don't know. east coast of Canada. The next province over, further east, is Nova Scotia. They're already reporting 12,000 customers that have lost electricity. Seems to happen more there than it does here. Our Power Commission spent a lot of money in the last few years cutting down trees that could possibly fall on the power lines. I don't know if they did that in Nova Scotia or not, but they certainly seem to lose the power faster than we do. Also, the ships ferry boats that go to Newfoundland from Nova Scotia, and from Nova Scotia to Newfoundland. There's several of them. There's 2 places that they go to in Newfoundland. Anyway, they're all tied up, and speculation is that the next time a ferry boat leaves will be next Monday, and this is Thursday. So a lot of people and a lot of freight that was going to be going to Newfoundland, I suspect, is going to spoil. They are saying that out on the strait going to Newfoundland right now, the waves are 9 meters high. Can't imagine what that must look like, but I wouldn't want to be out in it. Well, as you can see, I'm just trying to get this divided up to make it into some rolls here. It's still quite sticky. It has had a chance to rise first time for a little over 2 hours, I guess. I don't know how many rolls this is going to make, but it doesn't really matter. I don't need that many. I'll just put them in this 8x8 pan. I checked that 8x8 pan will fit in my Coleman camp oven out here. So, anyway, I'm just going to carry on doing this, and then they will be set aside for another hour, hour and a half to rise before they go in the oven, and I'll bring you back at that point. Well, the rolls have been set aside to rise. It certainly isn't a violent storm. I mean, the wind is picking up and it's snowing, but it's nothing unusual. Not for here, not yet anyway, but it's a lot whiter than it was when I first came out here. Off to the left you can see that's my solar panels, which are completely covered with snow now, but it's so gray and dark it wouldn't be making any additional electricity anyway. And that is the corn cage that I grew the corn in last year. I don't know if you can make it out or not, but right through there, that sort of whiter area, maybe you can see some brown down below. That's my house through the trees. So different times people ask me, how far is the cabin from the house? Well, just several hundred feet. It's out a pathway through the trees to out here to where I garden, and not that far from the house. If I really had to go back in an emergency, I could be there in a few minutes. I guess you can see those tracks in the snow. Angel has not been out since the snow started, and we've been sitting here. I've been sitting on the futon reading, and she's been laying there. We missed it, but we've had a visitor, a dog, I would say. It's quite big tracks. I have a neighbor the other side of the trees here. Property borders mine. I don't know what the dog is. It's beautiful. It's the size of a small horse and black. Comes over here quite often, so he might have been over for a visit and we missed it. Not snowing quite so hard right now, but there's still plenty of it coming down. Oh, it's 2:30 now, about 2 hours till sunset. 2 hours and a half or so till sunset, I guess, but it'll start to get pretty shady around 4:30. The temperature has continued to drop. It's now 1 degree. I forgot that weather thing that I have here, the temperature and whatever, also gives the barometric pressure, and that's dropping, which is not a good sign for good weather, but I guess we're not expecting any good weather. Well, the dinner rolls have risen and filled in all the blank spaces anyway. Hopefully they'll shoot up a little bit more once I put them in the Coleman camp oven, which I guess it's time to turn the gas on under that and get it heated up. I must remember this time to show them coming out of the oven. If you remember my video that I did a little while ago, baking pizza out here at the cabin, I don't know, a month, 6 weeks ago or so. Well, I took a clip of the pizza going in the oven and a clip of it coming out. And somehow, when I put the video together, I lost one of those clips. Well, I actually had someone accuse me of not cooking that pizza here at the cabin. I had taken that up to the house and cooked it. Oh dear. Anyway, not very important, but this time I'm going to try to show it going in and coming out. The wind has really picked up. It stopped snowing for a bit. And I think we had a bit of rain. I don't know if it was freezing rain or ordinary rain. And now it has started to snow again, but the flakes are much finer. Still 1 degree. And the wind comes in gusts. Seems quite calm, and then all of a sudden you get a really strong gust of wind. Very hard to regulate the heat with this little oven, but I had it up to 450 and I turned the heat way down, and now it's like 325, 330 or something like that. I may turn the heat up again just a little bit, but I would think 20 minutes to a half hour or so and they should be done. I just don't want it too high because I don't want to burn them. Hopefully they're cooked all the way through. They're a nice brown color anyway. Well, now you have seen it going in the oven and coming out of the oven. So they were definitely cooked out here at the cabin, right? Oh, I don't know. This is going in next. Going in the oven. I'm going to turn the temperature down. That is one of my golden nugget squash that I grew this summer. And they are excellent. I really like them. They're sort of individual size, at least this one is, but the largest ones only weigh maybe a pound or so. Very dry. They have an incredible shell skin on them. To get them cut in two and the seeds scooped out is quite an effort. I would not ever peel one of the things. You'd be forever. The skin is so tough, so I tend to bake them. So it's going in the oven. I'll turn the temperature down and bake them slowly in the oven. With the dried fish dinner, we traditionally eat the squash that you've just seen me put in the oven, and potatoes and turnip, or rutabaga, or swede, whatever you want to call them. And they are both in that saucepan with some water. Potatoes are down below the rutabaga, turnip. And I think it may take a while for them to come to a boil on the wood stove, but I'm going to give it a try because I'm not really in any rush. It's only 3:45. And I'll show you the progress as it occurs. Well, the rolls do seem to be quite well baked. A little darker on the bottom than they are on the top, but I think they're cooked through and through. And you probably thought when you saw that saucepan full of vegetables, that's a lot of vegetables for one person. I want to have leftovers because from this meal, the leftover fish and turnip and potatoes are turned into fish cakes for tomorrow or for some other day. Mash it all together. I add some onion and egg to help bind it together, and then make it into patties for frying. I love fish cakes almost as much as I like the meal here. Well, I'm not quite sure what just happened. I'm sitting here reading. It's not quite dark out yet. Well, right now it's 10 to 5. It's getting pretty shady. All of a sudden the lights went off. I thought, well, I've got a power failure, but I have solar power. And the panel, see it? No, I guess you can't quite see it. It's over there. The converter, whatever. A little red light had come on and it said low voltage. Well, I shut everything off. I went to the house and brought this back. It was a Christmas gift from my brother a number of years ago, 3 or 4 years ago. It takes an amazing amount of batteries. What do they call them? The C-cell or D-cell, the larger like flashlight battery. It takes 8 of them. It's an LED and has several settings and doesn't give as much light as the solar lights do in here. But after I fooled around with it for a while, it came back on, and the low voltage light went out. It says I've got 11.5 volts, which is more than enough to run these ceiling lights in here. I have two, can't remember what the wattage is, but they're very, very low voltage, 12 volt light bulbs, and very low wattage. Anyway, they came back on, so now I'm only running one of them. It's quite bright. I can see myself in the screen there. It's quite bright here because it's directly above me. But hopefully we'll have some light for the rest of the evening. If not, I've now got an emergency backup. Snow has stopped. It's now 2 degrees, and it's raining, and there's a bit of ice pellets or sleet or something mixed in with the rain, which is all according to the forecast. I guess it's holding true so far. We should get heavy rain this evening, and then sometime it should change to snow again. Anyway, dinner is cooking. The squash are in the oven. The turnip and potatoes are on the stove. I can see steam coming out of them. They haven't actually boiled yet. I'll soon put the fish on, and I'll bring you back and show you what I do with that. But whatever it is that's wrong with my solar power system, it just did it again. You hear a hiss in the background. I got out my Coleman lantern. I'm not sure how much gas there is in that, but I'll only use it when I'm doing some video. Try to make a little more light in here. Put the fish on now. I don't want the fish to come to a boil. You just bring it up to a simmer, and then I will pour off that water and add another, cover it again with water and let it come back to the simmer, and then it's ready to eat. I've moved the potatoes and the turnip over to the gas stove, the Coleman stove. They're coming to a low boil, so things are starting to get ready for dinner. This may not look all that fancy to you, but this is one of my favorite meals. The fish is just broken up and put on top of the potatoes. I have only put olive oil on mine. Traditionally, it would be pork fat, salt pork with the rind on would be either baked in the oven or cooked in a frying pan to render out the drippings, and you would also put some of the pork scraps on top. I enjoyed that for many years, but I'm a vegetarian now, so I don't do that. But the fish is excellent. There's some turnip, potato, some of the squash. It would be with chow chow, green tomato chow chow, but that's my hot pepper relish. I didn't make any chow chow this year. And a miracle occurred just in time to sit down to eat. The light came back on. I have no idea what that means. Any of you people out there who understand solar, tell me what it is that I'm doing wrong. Well, it just all of a sudden it started doing it on its own. I'm still getting 11.9 volt reading, and every once in a while the little red light comes on and says it's low voltage, and it shuts down my lights again. I wait a half hour or so and it works again. So right now we just have wind, no rain, no snow, and it's still quite mild. It's 2 degrees. Well, dinner is over. I have been reading for quite some time. I'm really enjoying the new book. I knew I would, as I said before, one of my favorite authors. I don't know how many chapters I'm into it. I've read quite a bit of it today. It's excellent. If you haven't read it, I'd suggest you give it a try. I was thinking when I was eating the dried fish, the salt dried codfish. I'm brushing Angel here, is why I'm looking off to one side all the time. It reminded me of being in Portugal. I used to go to Portugal. Oh, I don't know, I've probably been there 3 times, 4 times, something like that. I used to go there for vacations. I had a small apartment there once one winter for a month or so. But as a vegetarian who eats seafood, Portugal is a wonderful country to visit. The cod, salt-dried cod, bacalhau, is served in many wonderful ways, and I was thinking when I was eating that meal here this evening that one of the ways that I had it in Portugal is it was deep fried in batter like fish and chips, only it was reconstituted salt dried fish. You had all the bases covered. You had your fish and your grease and the batter and everything. It was delicious. I really enjoyed it, but I've never seen that anywhere else. I'm just about to go to bed, I guess. Angel and I are gonna call it a night. It's 9:30. It's quite mild out. It's gone up to 3 degrees. At times there's quite a bit of wind, but so far I don't see anything like the hurricane force winds that they were predicting. And it is raining. At times it's more a heavy mist. I haven't heard any real downpours of rain either, so I don't know if we get that yet in the middle of the night sometime or not. But as of right now anyway, it's just been an average storm. The forecast still says that it will turn back to snow by morning, so we'll see whether or not that happens. Everything else that they predicted, I guess, has been fairly accurate, except right here I don't think we're getting the full force of the wind, unless that's yet to come. And we've had rain, but no heavy torrential rain like they talked about. So unless something dramatic happens in the night and I turn the camera back on, I'll see you at breakfast time. Well, all night long we got a bit of wind and some rain, at times a heavy shower or two, but nothing like what they were predicting for rain. And at some point during the night we had another little light bit of snow, but that didn't amount to much either. It's still quite windy, but we have a lovely sunrise, and it's getting colder. It's now -2, so starting to cook breakfast in here. Well, the coffee is perking and it smells very nice. I'm just about to put my toast on. I guess according to the radio I live in the right part of the province. There are something like 18,000 homes without power. The northern part of the province did get around 40 centimeters of snow. The roads are treacherous everywhere, I guess. I've soon got to get over to the house and shovel off doorsteps and things before it freezes solid. The temperature is still dropping. It's still -2, but it's supposed to get much colder later on in the day. Breakfast is served. A nice cup of hot, very strong coffee. Hitting the spot first thing this morning. And a couple of those dinner rolls that I made last night, sliced into 4 slices and toasted. They make excellent toast. Well, we spent a very comfortable night. According to the weather report, a news report that I just listened to, over on Grand Manan, which is the next island over here, it's about, 15 kilometers or more offshore from us, they recorded 43 millimeters of rain. Well, I don't know. I don't think we got that here. They must have had heavier showers that passed over that part of the bay. We had rain, but nothing like that. And snow here didn't amount to anything, but they've interviewed several people on radio that are further up in the province that are dealing with a lot of snow this morning, and the roads are very treacherous. So I guess we're fortunate to live where we live. I'm going to go back to the house pretty soon now, as soon as I finish breakfast. I've got to make sure that I get the snow cleared off of various areas. It was a wet, heavy snow, and it's starting to crust over now, and it will freeze into a solid block of ice. If you don't do something with it now, you'll be weeks getting over top of it until you finally can get it soft enough to move it again. So I'll probably finish the video off with a little look back at the cabin as we depart. But anyway, thank you for watching. I'll say that now in case that doesn't work. I hope you enjoyed this little video from the cabin in what turned out to be not such a terrible storm. I know I've said it before in other videos, but I love this little Yodel stove. It's the stove that they, I think, originally started with. Anyway, according to their website, there's well over 1 million of them in circulation around the world. Very small, ideal for the cabin here, especially if it was a bit colder than it was last night. it overheats the room here quite quickly. Even, well, I just have to be careful. I put small amounts in at a time, and that way you can keep it quite comfortable. But it's up to 28 degrees in here right now, but that's because I really stoked it up to cook breakfast. You can use the top surface as a cooking surface, is what I really like about it. I had a thing called a log stove, very inexpensive cast iron stove before I had this one. And you could get that so hot that the sides of it were glowing red, and it would take forever to boil water on top of it for some reason. The surface never got so you could use it as a cooking surface. Well, this one really works well. In no time at all, the coffee was made this morning. And it's attractive too. You can see the flame. They're a great little stove. A horrible price tag. I can't remember now what I what I was charged for it. I remember joking with the salesperson, but that's a lot of money for a very small stove when I bought the thing. But well worth it, I think. It should get many, many years out of it, and it's I like the fact that it's quite small. It doesn't take up much space in here, and with the surrounds that I have around it, it's quite safe, that close to the wall and everything. So that's just a little bragging about my Yodel stove. Well, it's 9 a.m. and we're starting to carry everything back to the house, making the first trip, taking the camera with me. I thought I'd do a shot back at the cabin and you'd see smoke coming out of the chimney. But that's one thing about that Yodel stove that I've just bragged about. Very little smoke. It's very efficient. The fire is still burning just as well as it was when I took that clip, but there's no smoke. It reburns its gases. That's why it is so efficient, I guess, and gives so much heat. Well, once again, I will say thank you very much for watching, and it didn't turn out to be the blizzard of the century. I think they were calling it one of those weather bomb things. We've still got lots of wind. Kind of sheltered out here, which is why I probably didn't notice it quite so bad. All the trees around. I can still hear the wind blowing up in the trees, and if the microphone's picking it up or not. But anyway, it was an enjoyable evening for me and Angel. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching.